Good morning, students. Welcome back to the lecture series of remote sensing. In today's lecture, we are going to talk about microwave remote sensing. Today's lecture we will cover an introduction about the microwave remote sensing and then a different type of remote sensing, that is active and passive remote sensing. So, the microwave portion of electromagnetic spectrum involves wavelength within a range of 1 mm to 1 meter. Microwave possesses all weather operability, that is, they are capable of penetrating clouds, haze, light, rain, smoke depending on their wavelengths, and hence are suitable for providing information at all times of day. This property of microwaves enables it as the best choice for atmospheric studies. Different physical principles are followed to capture images in microwave, infrared, and visible spectrum. Microwave reflections, emissions, provide a different view of the Earth's surface that are entirely different from those observed using visible or infrared wavelength. In addition, unique information like sea, wind, or wave direction, polarization, backscattering, etc., are obtained, which cannot be observed by sensor operating in visible or infrared regions. The only disadvantage is coarse resolution and requirement for sophisticated data analysis techniques. The portion of energy scattered to a sensor operating in microwave spectrum will depend on many factors such as dielectric constant of surface materials, type of land use and land cover, surface roughness, slopes, orientation of objects, microwave frequency, polarization, incident angle, etc. Observation using microwave sensor at selected frequencies are capable of providing information regarding atmospheric structure, that is, profiles of temperature, water vapor, liquid water content, etc., which make it an invaluable source for meteorological observation. The primary factors that influence the transmission of microwave signals are the wavelength and polarization of energy pulse. This band within the microwave spectrum were named using names originally to ensure military security during the early stages of development of radar. These traditional names have been adopted by the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers and internationally by the International Telecommunication Union. These are listed in the figure in the table given aside of this slide. As you can see in the table, the band designation and wavelength in centimeter. These are the designation of various radar bands with their wavelengths. The band Ka, K, Ku, X, C, S, L, and P are the band designated for radius radars with their wavelengths. Microwave radiations are essentially characterized using intensity and polarization. Intensity is provided by the thermal emission reaching the sensor reflected from the Earth's surface after passing through the atmosphere. Intensity can be either backscattered, that is for active sensing, or a brightness temperature, which is used for passive sensing. Polarization defines a group of simple waves comprising of a beam of radiation. Electromagnetic radiation is comprised of electric and magnetic radiation oscillating in mutual perpendicular directions, in such a way that at any point in space, the electric field vector of simple electromagnetic radiation will always trace an ellipse. Uh, Not eclipse, it's ellipse. Polarization describes the eccentricity and orientation of all ellipses, which can either be linearly polarized, that is in horizontal vertical direction, or circularly polarized. Microwave remote sensing can be of two types, active and passive type. The term active refers to sensor which transmits its own source of energy and then receives the backscattered energy from the surface of the earth. Radar stands for radio detection and ranging. Radars like synthetic aperture radar, spectrometers, radar altimeters, ground-based weather radars, etc. are all active instruments. Passive sensors like microwave radiometer receive the naturally emanating electromagnetic energy from the Earth atmospheric system. This sensor detects very low levels of microwave energy. The typical passive and active microwave sensors used are tabulated on the screen, and you can see that passive sensors include microwave and radiometer, which are used for measurement of sea surface temperature, salinity, sea ice, rainfall intensity at temperature, near sea surface wind, ozone water vapor, and other things. Similarly, active sensing technology is used in form of microwave spectrometer, microwave altimeter, and imaging radar. These are used for measuring soil moisture content, water vapor, rainfall, and weather with the topographical and ice surface wind and geological parameters. So, let's talk about the passive remote sensing techniques used for microwave band. All natural minerals emit electromagnetic radiation, that is complex functions of emitting surfaces. A passive sensor operating in the microwave spectrum will usually rely on the naturally available microwave energy within their field of view instead of supplying their own source of illumination and measuring the reflected radiation like an active sensor. Passive systems utilize the electromagnetic energy that is reflected or emitted from the Earth's surface and atmosphere. Their advantages are manifold, like penetration through non-precipitating clouds that aids in meteorological studies, global coverage, wide swath, highly stable instrument calibration, etc. This system suffers from large field of views, that is from 10 to 50 km, when compared to systems operating in the visible and infrared wavelength. The sensors operating in passive systems use an antenna to detect photons at microwave frequencies, which are then converted to voltage in a circuit. So, on what principle this particular things work? The basic principle governing signal detection by passive sensor is Rayleigh-Jean's approximation of Planck's constants. Conceptually, in order to understand passive microwave remote sensing, the idea of blackbody radiation theory is essential. As per thermodynamic principles, all material, gases, liquids or solids tend to both emit as well as absorb incoherent electromagnetic energy at absolute temperature. As you can see in the figure, a plot of relative radiance energy and wavelength is shown. If B corresponds to a Planck blackbody function, I be the magnitude of the thermal emission and sigma denotes the emissivity, then thermal emission can be expressed using the relation shown in the equation, the first equation, I of lambda, which is equal to sigma of lambda, and so on. Here h is considered as a Planck constant and k is the Boltzmann constant. C is considered to be the speed of light and T is the thermal temperature. Once we approximate the thermal emission from Planck's function using Rayleigh-Jean's formula, then the microwave brightness temperature can be conventionally expressed as a linear function of physical temperature and emissivity, as shown in the equation below, that is Tb is equal to sigma, not sigma, epsilon into T, that is of physical temperature, where epsilon is a complex function of dielectric constant whose values are quite well known for gases and calm water but not so well understood for complicated cases of rough water and land surfaces. A space-bound radiometer viewing the Earth senses the electromagnetic energy emanating from the land surfaces that reaches the top of the atmosphere into the antenna after undergoing atmospheric attenuation, that is, dampening of signal due to atmospheric components. It depends on the absorption or scattering properties of the land surface and atmosphere that tends to vary with respect to frequency and polarization. The antenna receives radiation from regions defined by the antenna pattern, which is usually strongly peaked along its beam axis. Radio transfer models are generally used to interpret the TB received by the antenna. Now, this topic will not be discussed in this module because it is available in the next semester. More details can also be obtained in the book written by Ramachandran sir. Just like thermal radiometers, microwave radiometers are non-imaging devices whose output get digitally recorded on a magnetic medium. Normally, the radiometer output refers to the apparent antenna temperature. The total noise power resulting from the thermal radiation incident on the antenna, also known as antenna temperature, is expressed as a function of the antenna gain pattern, that is G of theta or sigma, and the brightness temperature distribution incident. And the equation of T alpha has been obtained. So how this all works? A spacebound radiometer observing ocean at an other angle theta is shown in the figure on the slide. This system is calibrated using a temperature that a black body located at the antenna must reach so that the same energy is radiated as is collected from the ground scene. I hope you understand this the situation and how this particular thing works, because I was unable to means I forgot to change the slide. So what are the examples of the passive remote sensing? Some of the examples which I am going to say is there are advanced microwave sounding unit which has started from 1978, they are used in present. Then SMR technology is there, satellite is there, which is currently not available. Then SSM-1 tropical rainfall measuring mission TRMM and AMSR-E are available currently, whose data is available. Some of the satellites are not currently working. What are the application of passive microwave remote sensing? The first application which I have already explained you earlier, which I have already mentioned earlier, is the soil moisture. For passive microwave signals, in the absence of significant vegetation cover, soil moisture provides the dominant effect on the received signal. The spatial resolution of satellite-borne passive microwave system designed to study soil moisture range from 10 to 20 km. The low frequency ranges of 1 to 3 GHz is usually considered for soil moisture sensing. This is because of the reduced atmospheric attenuation and higher vegetation penetration in this wavelength. And the dielectric constant of water tends to significantly increase depending on an increase in the volume fraction of water in soil. This relationship varies with respect to different type of soil. Different soil types have different percentage of water bound on it, and bound water adhering of soil to soil particles will exhibit rotation less freely at microwave frequencies, thereby leading to lower dielectric effect than the free water in the pore spaces. In this context, the penetration of depth of microwave frequencies is important as it indicates the thickness of the surface layer within which moisture and temperature varies can significantly affect the emitted radiation. Another application is soil water equivalent. While viewing snow cover areas, microwave emission will comprise of contribution from snow as well as from the underlying ground. Crystals of snow will scatter part of the radiation, thereby reducing the upwelling radiation measured with a radiometer. Deeper snow is indicative of greater snow crystals to scatter the upwelling microwave energy. This characteristic property is used to estimate snow mass. Usually, frequencies greater than 25 GHz is utilized for detecting snow. The strength of scattering signal is proportional to the snow water equivalent. Melting water from a snow covered surface will tend to increase the microwave brightness temperature at frequencies above 30 GHz, as water droplets will emit rather than scatter microwave radiation. Under this condition, it will be difficult to extract information regarding the snow water equivalent. Atmospheric water vapor is also a domain of application of microwave. An extensive study of microwave absorption of atmospheric gases, both theoretically and experimentally, shows that emission or absorption in gaseous atmosphere is dominated by presence of water vapor and oxygen. Absorption characteristics of these gases are summarized by various authors, by various books, various scientists, and you can go for it on online. Microwaves undergo resonant absorption and emission at certain frequencies due to the quantum energy states of water vapor or oxygen molecules. Within microwave spectrum, these molecules are subjected to rotational transition, wherein a molecule changes rotational energy states. This causes a peak in TB measured by a radiometer. The magnitude of an increase in the TB depends on the total number of water or vapor or oxygen molecules along the propagation path through the atmosphere. An increasing altitude gets accompanied with a decrease in the number of water vapor or oxygen molecules per unit volume. This in turn reduces the bandwidth of water vapor or oxygen emission, that is absorption, leading to an increase in absorption at the peak of resonance. The rotational lines of water and oxygen are pressure broadened in the atmosphere owing to the presence of other gases. There is also a slight dependence on temperature. Water vapor has a weak absorption line at 22.235 GHz, 22.235 GHz, and a strong line at 183 GHz. All sensors currently used for precipitation make a measurement near this particular channel. For example, SSMI at 22.235, TMI at 21.3, AMSR at 23.8. Microwave remote sensing passive technique is also used to measure rainfall rate. At microwave wavelengths, precipitation sized droplets interact strongly with microwave radiation. Interaction of electromagnetic waves with spherical dielectric causes scattering, redirecting, or absorption, that is conversion to mechanical energy. Radiation, depending on the size of precipitation particles. One of the earlier studies by me introduced the general mathematical solution for scattering and absorption of electromagnetic waves by a dielectric sphere of arbitrary radius. Later on, this was applied to the context of rain by different authors. If we consider a single raindrop particle with a size x, which is very less than the wavelength of the electromagnetic wave, the absorption cross section will be proportional to the volume and mass of the raindrop, while scattering cross section will be negligible. When cloud drop coalesces into raindrops with dimensions comparable to the microwave wavelength, absorption per unit mass increases and scattering can no longer be ignored. So hope students, I hope that this particular lecture on passive microwave remote sensing is understandable to you. In the next session, we will talk about active microwave remote sensing, and we will later on complete the topic. Thank you for your patience. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Have a safe day. A happy learning.